This does not sound like your typical boss theme. Oh. Wow. Oh my goodness. Two hunters fighting to save each other. The winner loses and the loser wins. To set Gehrman free, you become Gehrman. This sounds like a tragedy, and that's exactly what it is. And it's what the music of this game, and especially this boss fight, truly makes us feel. One of the marks of genius behind the soundtrack to the game Bloodborne is just how much of a difference it makes and how much it plays with our emotions when the music that you're hearing isn't what you expect in a typical boss fight. When the boss only wants to defeat you to save you. Oof. We're establishing this D minor home base. And so far, we haven't heard anything move out of that. Oh. So, there's a really beautiful thing going on with this orchestral arranging. It's absolutely stunning. And what we're doing is we're taking something as simple as the Aeolian mode, or the natural minor scale, right? It's very simply... Okay, so we have... It's incredibly dark. We're establishing this extremely dark harmonic place right from the very beginning. And if you know any of the FromSoft games, you'll know that this is an absolute trademark. It's a trademark of Dark Souls, and Bloodborne is no exception. I think one of the things that gives it that incredible darkness is the fact that we are using the natural minor scale, which has that, what we might consider a flat 6. I feel like that gives it this darkness. Right? And if you contrast that with something like the Dorian mode, it's kind of like what we get in more of a jazz context, right? And that, to me, sounds much brighter. Does that make sense? Like, it sounds, that note gives it a brightness that this music absolutely doesn't have. It's like everywhere that it could have a sad, tragic, dark resolution, it does. Right there, and then also... Those two, to me, just feel so dark. Hey, it is that time of year again. We are running a 50% off sale on my best-selling course, the Intro to Piano course on Better Piano. This channel is made possible by your support. First of all, just for being here, but over the years, I've taken sponsorships and explored different ways to support the content on this channel, but the one thing that I always wanted to do was create something that would be incredibly useful for you. And the way that I've done that is by packaging my more than 20 years of experience playing this instrument and playing it professionally to help you learn how to play in all of the ways that I wished it had been explained to me when I was learning. The Intro to Piano course is loaded with over 170 videos, instructional material, exercises, as well as downloadable PDFs and resources, and it's designed with one purpose in mind: to teach you how to play the piano without feeling overwhelmed, so that you actually reach your musical goals and learn how to play anything you want to on this instrument. Playing the piano is a lot easier than you may have previously thought if you have the right instruction and the right method to guide you so that you don't feel overwhelmed by things that seem complex when they really aren't. I have carefully designed this course specifically to address so many of the common issues that cause people to quit learning. You're going to be playing more piano than you ever thought you could, faster than you ever thought possible. And once again, usually about once a year, we run a 50% off sale on that Intro to Piano course. So if you want to get started learning this instrument today, use the link down in the description below. And that is the best way that you can support this channel. If you enjoy the content here, if you enjoy these videos, your support is greatly appreciated. So we're establishing that right from the very beginning. And the string writing is just beautiful. Ooh. Whoa! Listen to that cello line. Something like that. But while all of this rich harmony. And that's the beauty of using something like the Alien mode or the natural minor scale, is you can kind of just build any notes within that scale. Yeah. They all work. You can kind of do anything. Woo! And you know, Bloodborne is a fascinating game with a brilliant soundtrack. And without going into too many details about this game, because the lore is incredibly in-depth, the important question that we're trying to answer here is, how did the composers write a track that could make us feel this tragedy, instead of giving us this typical epic battle that we would expect in a boss theme? This is something different. In Bloodborne, you play as the hunter. You're trapped in a dream where you must find out what is causing the residents of a town to become horrific beasts. The lore, like I said, goes very deep. It's incredibly imaginative, unsurprisingly leading to the game being considered as one of the greatest video games of all time. But throughout the game, Gehrman, the first hunter, serves as a sort of guide, helping you as you progress. And it's only at the end where you're given a chance to either submit to him or fight him, a choice which will ultimately initiate one of 3 possible endings to this game. Right there, that sort of builds up. We might expect that that's where the percussion would come in and this epic battle would start, right? It's kind of leading us into that feeling like, okay, something's gonna emerge here, but instead, we just get that gorgeous cello melody. And it's just more of this intense, painful, haunting beauty of this very minor... D minor. Oh man, the whole thing. And you know, it's really fascinating. The way that this actually builds up in some ways reminds me of Samuel Barber's Adagio for Strings. And here we get the similar feelings of tragedy, but this buildup of the strings and the layers. Oof. Oh. And it just keeps going and building up this tragic harmonic feel. Now, the difference here is that with the Adagio for Strings, we are moving in different places harmonically, and we have yet to do that in Gehrman the First Hunter. But we can hear some of those similarities. We're moving around a little bit. We can hear... We can hear our bass moving a little bit. Now, look at that! Where does that come from? It's this sudden pullback and chill, right? It's this quiet moment, this hush, all of a sudden. Not typical of a boss theme. But Gehrman is not your typical boss. He's a character enslaved in eternal servitude to a miserable existence. And when it comes time to fight him, you're fighting a weary soul that wants their suffering to end, but he feels this duty to defeat you lest you suffer the same fate. See, if you submit and you let Gehrman kill you, you will wake up in the morning from this terrible dream, from this terrible nightmare, and you'll be free from the horror you've just been trapped in. But you are the last hunter, and for him, that would mean he's eternally stuck there. But then, if you fight him and you win, you become Gehrman. You are enslaved in this perpetual night, and the hunt begins again. An endless cycle that Gehrman was trying to free you from. But in this scenario, you end up freeing him. Oh, how do you create a soundtrack with this level of complexity that can make you as the player feel these emotions, feel this conflict? Neither character wants to lose, but winning means the ultimate sacrifice. So we build, and we build, and we eventually find ourselves with the emergence of this all of a sudden just hush. Oof. And it sits there for a moment. And then we get, this must be the main battle theme. We must be getting somewhere, right? This is where the percussion is gonna come out of nowhere and it's gonna drop us into this epic fight scene, right? No, that's not exactly what happens. In fact, it's not what happens at all. We get this build up, but instead of a big theme, we get oh, what a beautiful, haunting melody. Now, I want you to check out those two phrases here. We have this opening phrase, but then the next kind of phrase is... So in a way, we have a call and a response. This asks a question, and this provides the answer. But the connection point between those two is a tritone. This is like tragedy embodied musically, right? I mean, we have this one ultra dark phrase, and then we have another dark phrase that resolves to that minor dark place that we've established. But to connect them, we get this cry out of a tritone. Woo-hoo-hoo! It doesn't get more dark and tragic than this. It's almost like the theme itself is in tears. Rather than feeling like you're defeating this evil beast of a boss, you almost feel like you're being forced to defeat a friend. You're forced to fight someone that is only fighting you because they're trying to save you. What better way to embody that than with the absolute most tragic dissonance and darkness that we can muster harmonically? In a lot of ways, all we need here is D minor and A dominant, the 5 chord of D minor. That's kind of all we need. We really don't need much else, because if we think about it, this chord, which looks like C sharp diminished, and you could absolutely call it that, we functionally could look at this as A7 with a flat 9. That would be a perfectly valid way to look at this chord. And that's just a 5 chord. So we have 1, 5, 1. Amazing how much emotional depth we can get out of 2 chords. Ooh, yeah. It's like, how many different ways can we voice 1 and 5 and 1 again? Ah, what a beautiful melody. Notice we very rarely leave the pedal tone of D. And a pedal tone just refers to any bass note that gets held out, even as maybe the harmony changes in the upper whatever instrumentation, right? So we're not always using a pedal tone on D, because we do move around a little bit. But for a lot of the time, it does appear that we are using that D below everything. And that continues giving us that ominous feel. Even as the melodies and the counter melodies, the counterpoint, gives us lots of information. Oh, what's this? Hush. We get the voices entering in with the theme that we established. Right? We've come back to that theme now, but now we've brought in the voices, and this is like the closest thing we get to like the epic battle, right? But even still, it's not the same thing as we might expect, especially if we look at other games. I mean, check this out. How about a boss theme from Kingdom Hearts? It's minor, right? But talk about so much more emotion. It's like, yeah, we're gonna fight. You know, this just feels so much more appropriate for a boss theme. How about Metal Gear Rising? Lots of percussion, bang. This just, oh, this is super cool, actually. See, and it's like battle. This is a big battle. It's, you know, all of these boss themes, they just have such like a, this is gonna be a massive battle feel to them. Even think about something like Duel of the Fates. Yes! We all know how that one goes, right? But like these boss themes, and that's not really a boss theme, but you know, it's a similar type of vibe, right? They just have an intensity to them that Gehrman the First Hunter does not have. And that's because the story and the reason you're fighting Gehrman is just sad. That's why it should mimic something a little closer to Samuel Barber's Adagio for Strings. It should have that feeling of tragedy, of just wanting to cry, of hopelessness. If you're familiar with the FromSoft games at all, you know that hopelessness is definitely a common theme. He was only protecting us from his own fate. Oh, wow. Two hunters, one wouldn't stand for the other to bear his fate. One wouldn't let the other suffer as he did. I mean, it's just perfect, right? It's this incredibly conflicted scenario where they don't want to fight, but they feel a duty to in order to save each other. What a brilliant concept for a boss fight. And it is only one of the many reasons that Bloodborne is widely considered to be on the list of the greatest video games ever made. But I want to know your thoughts. Is this one of your favorite boss themes? Is this one of your favorite games? What other boss themes do you think that I should take a look at? Let me know in those comments below. And that's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.